What's up, guys? Today, I just dropped something. Today, we are doing things with the 75-gallon leopard tank. Like I said, if you watched the last update video, I'll give you guys kind of a sneak peek of this. It is not aquascaped yet, but I just wanted to kind of add a lot of leaf litter because I had a lot of it and kind of just see what happens. As of now, this is basically just like a holding tank for these guys, like it's been for like the past 10 years or whatever, how long I've had these things. But yeah, I'm just gonna add a lot of botanicals, tint it up, and see what the leaves that I have are gonna do tint wise, because I've never done any kind of botanicals in a tank this large. So we're going to boil a bunch of leaves. I have a very large quantity of leaves that I collected from the botanical gardens the other day. But anyone who's unfamiliar with like using botanicals, basically if you collect them yourselves, you always want to boil them for the sake of sanitizing and killing off any parasites or anything that might be around. This is the stuff I collected. We have Southern Magnolia, which I've used a lot in tanks in the past because it's everywhere around me, so I collect it pretty regularly. This is an umbrella magnolia. It's very similar in shape to Indian almond leaves, which is what drew it to me in the first place. I found some giant magnolia, but the leaves were gigantic, so I didn't bother collecting any of that. And then here is, I want to say Sweet Bay, which I've read is not toxic in any way, and it's technically, or it's not a magnolia in the same genus, but it's very similar to a magnolia, and I don't think they're toxic to aquatic species, and I think I've actually used it before in the past. So we're gonna see. Hopefully it does nothing to the fish. I may buy some like dither fish or something and throw them in a quarantine tank and add those just to see if anything happens. But as of now, I'm just boiling a lot of Southern Magnolia leaves in the kitchen, and this takes a really long time. Like, it's not like steeping tea where it takes like, you know, a couple minutes and you're done. It's literally, you typically want to do it until they sink, and boiling just makes them sink faster. But the purpose of this, like I said, it's to clean them, and it's also to kind of get some of the tannins out, because if you just add them to the tank, they're just going to leach a ton of tannins immediately. And you're probably thinking the whole point of adding them to the tank is to leach a ton of tannins. But if you do it immediately, it's too much, and you can like shock your fish, or it's just a lot. You typically want to do a water change and stuff. But if you boil them, it's going to eradicate any kind of weird fungi that is going to grow on them when you add them to the tank, any kind of bacteria, any kind of parasites, anything, and a small amount of the tannins are going to leach out. So they'll leach tannins at the same time, but they'll still, it's a little bit slower and it's more manageable. So I always boil stuff just to make sure it's going to sink, because it's really annoying when you add them to a tank and they just float around on the surface for a few days. Especially if it's an aquascape where you're like trying to put leaf litter and botanicals in the foreground. It's one thing if you just have like some weird quarantine tank or breeding tank where it's not aquascaped, just like sand and some pieces of wood and stone, and a friend of mine literally just throws botanicals in the tank and lets them sink on their own, so they land in very natural positions. And that was actually like a cool thought that he did. He breeds a lot of stuff, so when he uses botanicals, I'm pretty sure he just throws stuff in, and then when it sinks, it stays where it sinks. And that's how it happens in nature, so in a way, it's kind of very natural. But his tanks aren't like super intricate. Some of them are aquascape, but most of them are just, he's got tons of cories and apistos and stuff, and he just lets them do their thing. But my tanks are all aquascaped, so we have to just lay out all the leaves in a certain area of the tank. But yeah, so we're gonna boil these, add them to the tank, and see what happens. So the magnolia leaves have been added, kind of roughly. I literally just dropped them from up there and let them kind of sink around. They're gonna be rearranged once I add a little bit more, just to give you guys kind of a look of what it's gonna look like with a lot of leaf litter. That's just that one pot full. And look at all the leopards getting all super excited because they think they're about to get fed. Anyone who says leopard tinopomas hide 24/7 just doesn't have the right tank for them. I believe that wholeheartedly. So now we're working on the sweet bay. This has been boiling for a very long time. Stuff will probably already sink, but I'm just gonna give it like an hour or so. Gonna watch The Mandalorian and eat some noodles. And then we'll go back, add them to the tank, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. All right, the sweet bay is done boiling. And I'm going to try to arrange these things a little bit different than they already are. But, let me see if it sinks. Oh, come on. Sweet. They sink. All right, so now I'm just gonna kind of arrange these in kind of a natural looking order along the front where the sand is, and try to make it look good. All right, so I added all the botanicals that I think I want to add for now, I guess. It's hard to place things in the front because the flow in the tank comes out in this direction. So it flows like all in front of the structure and comes around the back there. So down in here, everything kind of just gets blown around, and it's hard to have leaves that just sit on the ground. You can see like here, that leaf is like kind of, not really, or it's kind of waving every once in a while, but I don't know, leaves are kind of light. Maybe as they sink a little bit more, they'll, you know, stay put a little bit more. But as of now, like the ones up here are semi-buried. I may just have to add a little bit more sand and try to half bury a bunch of them. But I really, really like the look of it. Try to get it from this angle so you guys can see it without all the glare from the window. But now there's glare from that tank and that tank. But yeah, there's a lot of glare in the living room. Looks really cool, and I think it's gonna look even better once the tannins start to leach out into the water and it gets all dark. Another thing is I switched to both white lights, and I think it is definitely the look for this tank that I was looking for. The red ones are just a little bit off. I feel like this is more sunlighty. But yeah, that's gonna be the end of this one. Thank you guys for watching. I have like 4 videos. You're actually gonna see, this is like the last one I'm posting, but actually I have a bunch of videos that I need to go edit right now, and they'll probably be released before this video anyway. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you next time.